There is a kind of tired that 8 hours of sleep cannot touch. You know the one. You wake up and the exhaustion is already there, waiting for you. Like it never left. You didn't run a marathon yesterday. You didn't pull an all-nighter. You just lived another day. Answered messages. Sat in meetings. Scrolled through your phone. Made decisions. Smiled when you were supposed to smile. And somehow that was enough to empty you completely. And the part that nobody talks about is how confusing it feels. Because modern life is supposed to be easier. Food arrives at your door. Entertainment never ends. You don't hunt for survival. You don't walk miles for water. Previous generations worked with their hands for 12 hours a day. You work at a desk. So why? Why does it feel like you are running out of something every single day? Something is happening to the human brain right now, quietly, invisibly, and most people are living inside it without realizing it. Let's start with the morning, because the morning is where it begins, before you are fully conscious, before your nervous system has even finished waking up. The phone appears, not because you chose it, because it's there, because reaching for it became as automatic as breathing. And in those first 4 minutes, your brain receives more information than your grandparents processed in an entire week. Notifications, headlines, someone's opinion, someone's life, someone's highlight reel, a tragedy somewhere, a controversy somewhere else. 17 things demanding a response. And your nervous system, which spent the night trying to recover, is immediately pulled back into high alert. Think about what that does to a person. Over weeks, over months, over years. A brain that never gets a real morning, that never gets those quiet 20 minutes where the world is still soft and the day hasn't started yet. That wakes up and immediately starts performing. That brain gets tired in ways sleep cannot fix, because sleep restores the body, but what restores the mind is silence. And silence has become the rarest thing in modern life. Ask yourself something honest. When was the last time you sat in complete stillness? No music, no podcast, no background television, no scrolling, just you and the quiet. For most people reading this right now, they cannot remember. And that matters more than they realize, because a brain that never experiences genuine silence never fully recovers. It just runs and runs and runs at lower and lower capacity, until one day, sitting down to answer a simple email feels like lifting something heavy. Until one day, a friend asks how you are, and you say, tired, before you even think about it. Until one day, you realize you haven't felt genuinely excited about anything in a very long time. That's not adulthood. That's exhaustion wearing adulthood's clothes. Now here is the part that most people miss completely. Modern exhaustion is not just about how much you do. It's about how much you perform. Think about how many times today you managed how you appeared to someone else. You softened your tone in an email because you didn't want to seem difficult. You laughed at something that wasn't funny because the silence would have been awkward. You said, "I'm fine," when you weren't. Because explaining the truth would have taken energy you didn't have. Psychologists have a name for this: emotional labor. And emotional labor is invisible. Nobody sees it on a timesheet. Nobody counts it at the end of the day. But the brain does. The nervous system counts every single performance, every mask worn, every true feeling swallowed, every version of yourself you hid to make a situation easier, and it charges you for all of it. This is why people come home from days where they didn't do much and feel completely hollowed out, because they spent 8 hours being a version of themselves that required maintenance. And that is exhausting in ways that have nothing to do with physical work. There's something else, something that quietly became one of the most psychologically draining forces in modern life. Comparison, not the obvious kind, not jealousy you can name, the invisible kind, the kind that happens in the background of your mind without permission. Every time you open your phone, your brain is quietly processing thousands of other people's lives, their bodies, their relationships, their careers, their confidence, their happiness, and the human brain was never designed for this. For most of human history, a person compared themselves to perhaps 100 people, the village, the neighborhood, the people they actually knew. Now, you compare yourself to millions every single day, and the algorithm doesn't show you average lives. It shows you the best moments of the best lives, curated, filtered, perfected, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a voice keeps score. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found that even passive social media use, just scrolling, not posting, not engaging, significantly increases feelings of loneliness and inadequacy. Not because people are weak, but because the brain was not built to lose a comparison game it plays 10,000 times a day. And losing that game, quietly, drains something essential. That slow drain of never feeling quite enough follows people everywhere, into their work, into their relationships, into the moments that should feel good but somehow don't fully land. And eventually the nervous system responds the only way it knows how. It starts shutting things down. This is something psychologists call emotional blunting. When the brain becomes so overwhelmed by stimulation and low-grade stress, it begins reducing emotional intensity to cope. It's not depression necessarily. It's something quieter, more invisible. It's waking up and feeling nothing in particular. It's watching something beautiful and feeling a distant version of appreciation rather than real wonder. It's laughing but not really feeling the laughter. It's being surrounded by people and still feeling a strange, unexplainable alone. And millions of people in the United States, the UK, Canada, and Australia are living in this state right now, calling it normal, because everyone around them seems to feel the same way. But here's what's important to understand. This is not who you are. This is what the environment did to you. There is a difference. Carl Jung once said something that I have never forgotten. Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. And modern life created a world where everyone is communicating constantly, but very few people are saying anything real. You can send 100 messages in a day and still feel completely unseen. You can be liked by strangers on the internet and still hunger for one person who actually knows you. You can be more connected than any human being in history and feel more alone than your grandparents ever did. That contradiction is exhausting in the deepest possible way, because the soul does not need more content. It needs contact, real contact, the kind where someone looks at you and actually sees you, not your profile, not your productivity, not your performance, you. And then there is the guilt of resting. Modern society built something very specific into people's psychology, the idea that rest must be earned, that stillness is laziness, that if you are not producing, you are falling behind. People now apologize for taking breaks. They feel shame during slow mornings. They lie awake at night, making lists of everything they didn't finish. And they treat themselves like machines that need optimization, rather than human beings who need restoration. But here is the truth that the modern world does not want you to sit with. You were not designed for this pace. No human was. The nervous system needs recovery the way the body needs food, not as a luxury, as a biological requirement. And when recovery is denied long enough, the body begins to protest, not loudly, quietly, through exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, through emotions that feel muted and far away, through that nagging feeling that something is missing, even when everything on paper looks fine. So what do you do with this? Not a list of 10 habits, something simpler and harder. You begin by doing something that modern life has almost made radical. You give yourself permission to stop. Not forever, not a retreat, just a moment. One morning where the phone stays on the other side of the room. One meal where nothing is playing in the background. One walk where you don't put anything in your ears. Just you and the world, unfiltered. And at first it will feel uncomfortable. The silence will feel strange. Your hands will want something to do. Your mind will reach for stimulation out of pure habit. But if you stay with it, something begins to happen. The noise starts to settle. And underneath all of it, underneath the exhaustion and the overstimulation and the endless performance, you start to hear something quiet, something that has been trying to reach you for a very long time. Yourself. Because the real tragedy of modern exhaustion is not that people are tired. It's that they became strangers to themselves while trying to keep up with everything else. If something in this felt familiar, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not failing at life. You are a human nervous system that has been asked to process more, feel more, perform more, compare more, and produce more than any nervous system in human history was ever asked to carry. The exhaustion you feel is not a character flaw. It is an honest response to an impossible environment. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, instead of asking what is wrong with you, you can ask a different question. What has the world been demanding of me that no human being was ever designed to give? Because that question is where rest actually begins. Not in sleep, not in a vacation. In the moment you finally stop holding yourself responsible for being exhausted by something that was always going to be exhausting. You were never meant to feel this empty. And somewhere beneath all of this noise, there is still a version of you that knows what it feels like to be okay. That version is not gone. It is just waiting for the quiet. If this reached you today, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most exhausted people are the ones who think they're the only ones. And comment below, what drains you more, the world outside or the weight you carry inside?